Right people, it's Spikes, and I'm bringing you a build video today on Alpha Bridge, the current meta, something which you should always have in your bag at all times if you're not using it, but I highly recommend you use it if you do want to succeed in the Dark Zone. It is a PvP based build, so if you're here looking for PvE, probably just click away. I mean, I don't really bother with that. I mean, I play it, but really, you can use any build for that. But Alpha Bridge, why don't we have a look? So I'm running just over minimal firearms, dumping pretty much everything else on stamina. It's the way that most people like to do it. I don't think it is the only way to do it. You can run, 6k firearms or 5.5k. That's perfectly fine. Now, if you've got good movement and you're good at dodging, by all means increase your firearms, because if you're going to dodge the bullets, right, effectively, lesser hitting you, you have more health, so you can dump more on damage and kill people before they kill you, or kill them before they can react or heal. If you can do that, you're doing it right. Choice of guns, secondary first, because let's be honest here, Alpha Bridge Assault Rifle is going to be with the FAMAS, and this is the one that I bought from the Meat Locker, which was Southwest. I don't think that's available anymore. I bought two of them for another combination of assault rifles. So the FAMAS, it came with destructive and uncomplicated. I rolled for responsive because on my primary weapon, the P416, which previously was fucking shit here. I mean, no one ever used that gun, but in this build of the game, I feel like it's actually pretty decent. I rolled pretty high enemy armor damage on it, 23%, as you can see, and I rolled unforgiving on it. So my 6 talents will be unforgiving, deadly, intense, which I'll get to in a minute, destructive, responsive, and of course the best of all, uncomplicated. Now, intense. This is part of the build that's really important. A lot of people would recommend competent. I think competent is the one perk that's missing here. Or you could say brutal as well instead of deadly, or maybe have both. But really, brutal and deadly are not that good anymore. I mean, what you need is flat damage increases such as unforgiving, top tier talent. I recommend that on any lone gun. Alpha Bridge, of course, you want it on any one of the two, not on both. Destructive is good. I think it adds about, if you divide that by 3, you get the multiplayer, and if you take away 5% armor, I think it works to about 3 to 5% depending on how much armor your opponent has. So the more armor they have, the better destructive is. So playing players who know what they're doing, this is going to be a bit better against them, and that's great. Responsive is always a solid. I mean, let's face it, you might start out the fight at range, but in the end what happens is everyone's running around in circles, hip firing. I mean, that's just what happens. Sorry, cover-based shooter, really not. But and then uncomplicated. Now, there's a lot of questions surrounding uncomplicated and how it works. Now, it's 15% flat damage increase. That's it. Accuracy and stability mods reduce this bonus. I mean, people are confused about whether, what if you have attachments on your FAMAS, does it affect that? No, look. Each gun, has 6 talents of the other. Why don't we just forget the FAMAS for a moment? You only have a P416. Oh, but it's a magic one. It has 6 talents on it, Think of it this way. So, you look at the attachments. What attachments do I have? I go for a standard magazine size, crit chance, rate of fire, the best combination you want. Would be nice if I could get a little more than that. I could probably squeeze out an extra round, maybe 65. I think I've currently got 64. Where can I check that? Can I check that anywhere? I think it's here somewhere. Yeah, I got 64. Pardon me. The scope, obviously, headshot damage, crit chance, the god roll, that's what you want. If you've got anything else, just dump it. I mean, you can go for the crit damage one or the crit chance one if you can't hit the head. And the crit damage one is what I would go for over the crit chance, because you can get crit chance in other places. Crit damage is pretty much scarce anywhere but the attachments, so I'd go for crit damage if you can't hit the head. But if you're trying to, hold off hordes of people, like if you're the one going rogue, which is what I want you guys to be doing, because if you're watching my video, you better go fucking rogue. That's fine. And for the muzzle, again, headshot damage as a main, a little bit of stability in there, because why not? I mean, the P416 does recoil a little bit at times, and then crit chance. In every single one of your attachments that can roll crit chance, get crit chance, crit chance, crit chance, crit chance. You get 3, so another 2.5, and so it's basically 3, 9% just off your gun. That's pretty decent. The underbarrel. Now, a lot of people would recommend crit damage, and for the most, the longest time I ran crit damage as a main, but I've actually recently switched to reload speed, because back in 1.4 I had a AK with intense. Now, the first bullet of a magazine has a 25% chance to apply the on-fire status effect to the target. So, with the faster reload, you can apply this over and over and over again. It is incredibly powerful. Why would you have something like, what's it called? The one I just said a minute ago. Why would you have, when you pop a skill you get 10% more damage, competent, when you can have intense? Let's say, for example, you get into a one-on-one with a player, there's a bunch of players around, but you get into a one-on-one for a brief moment. You put that guy on fire. He's gone from thinking, yeah, I can take this guy on, to, oh shit, I'm on fire, I need to stagger away from the fight, and he's going to be walking or rolling, if he's a cunt, away from you. In the meantime, you can just keep pummeling that guy down, just your DPS goes through the roof compared to his, right? I'm not a DPS guy, I don't talk about DPS, but in terms of the fact that if you're doing damage and he's not, you can keep doing damage and you can get so much more than 10% that competent would give you. Intense is fantastic. You can also pair that with, if we go to the talents, which I'm going to go over very briefly here, with wildfire, if you have space. Now, this talent setup is my solo talent setup. I use critical save. Just never take that off your class. Don't know, if you ever take that off your class, just go hang yourself, because you're going to die anyway, so you might as well beat yourself to it. Precision is very good in your solo if you're not running a pulse. If you're running a pulse, I probably wouldn't run it. I mean, yeah, this allows you to keep basically 100% uptime whenever one that you shoot, because you're going to be hitting the head at least once during the fight. Precision is great, but if you're playing in a team, I'll just straight away just take precision off to combat medic. Combat medic, again, if you're playing with 2 or more people, combat medic is essential. Do not take it off. It is so important. If you're on medkit cooldown, you're on heal cooldown, you're on status, so you can't pop your ult or whichever one you have, probably the heal one. A lot of people seem to be running that these days. Just call for a medkit. Hey, I need a heal, I need a heal, I need a heal. Give me a medkit, and then your team just gives you a medkit, right? And then when they're in deep shit, you can return the favour. And what's happened? Well, you've both used one medkit each, except you not only have you healed each other, but you've healed your other 2 teammates as well, who probably needed a heal as well. Because let's face it, if you're having a 4v4 or more, the chances are all of you are not going to be at full health all the time, so you're going to benefit off a combat medic. So the other 2, these 2 are very situational and pretty much tie into my personal playstyle rather than something that I think everybody should be doing. If I want to go for what I would recommend to you guys, or just any player really, I'd go for on the move, because you can destroy any projectile, those balls, a turret. I even think you can proc it on rats and birds, but I mean, you shouldn't really be focusing on that mid-gun fight. But if you can squeeze that bit of in there in your mind, go ahead. This one is not necessary, so you could put wildfire on. I took off the wrong talent there. If you are running the revive ult, I recommend battle buddy, because then you're gonna revive everybody and then basically make them double their health, because if you're giving them 50% resistance, that's great. One is none if you hit the head with I really don't rate this anymore. I mean, back in the shotgun meta, and it was great, but at the moment it's really not amazing. So for a team setup, and what I run and what I'll get into in a moment, is tactical advance. Even though it's been nerfed, it's only 5 seconds and it only goes up to 30% as opposed to 10 and 50. It's still a top tier talent, but only with what I will tell you in a second, if we just take that off. So that's my talent combination, those 4. Now, tactical advance is a key to this playstyle, and I pair this with the nimble holster. The nimble holster? Wait, what are you using, man? What do you mean the nimble holster? That shit, come on, no one ever uses that, right? Yeah, well, not until 1.5, you see. Previously in 1.4, 1.3, I think 1.4 it half worked, 1.3 and before that it broke. The same way as tactical advance broke. You would go cover to cover, and if anything stopped you from reaching your cover, it's like you have to finish your first cover to cover for it to work. And so if you break it, that's it didn't work. You had to die, or sometimes take it off and put it back on. I found with nimble it didn't work at all. You had to die. Tactical advance, you could take it off and put it back on and it would work. But We're in 1.5 now. Massive have pretty much gotten their shit together, and things are working now. So rest assured, Nimble will work. Now Nimble is the same scaling as Tactical Advance, so you get 2% of max health, 2% extra damage, up to 30, but Nimble seems to not have a cap apparently. I can be on half a bar of health, yeah? And as long as I'm not under a status effect, I can go cover to cover, from here to maybe across the road, diagonally, right in the middle of the fight. Just completely ignore everybody, like la-di-da-di-da. I can go from that to full health, yeah? And not only that, the risky move it is to go from cover to cover. You know, you got to find a cover, turn around and find another piece of cover at the right distance away in the middle of the fight while you're getting shot. It's risky, right? But this is why you have the talent on the move, because you take 30% less damage. So this basically increases your health by a third, effectively. That's what it does, right? And so you can make these moves, these really risky moves, in the middle of the fight. And not only that, when you're weak, people tend to target you more, right? You know, if you're playing a good team and they know how to focus and you're weak, you can get focused. And if I get focused and I'm doing my nimble all around the place, I mean, I can go back and forth, nimble, 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 nimble. And as long as there are a few obstacles in the way, like other players from your team causing a distraction, or boxes and other vehicles that get in the way, you know, you can go from truck to truck. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can use nimble. But using this all together is, trust me, it is a killer combination. I've been getting moaned at in 1v1s for using it because it's unfair. I get extra DPS. It's like smart cover. I mean, you can't use smart cover in a 1v1, right? 1.3 smart cover, that is. You can't use nimble in a 1v1. Whatever. If you can get yourself a nimble holster, chuck it on, give it a test. If you like it, you do. If you don't want to do the cover thing, that's fine. But trust me, this shit works. Just don't go up against any fire turrets. Be careful with anything that sets you on fire, man. If you get broken like cover to cover, it's a risky move. You're already making a risky move, and then if you get caught in the middle, stranded on fire, you're probably gonna die. So that's when you call for your medkit. That's why you have combat medic on. So let's have a look at the rolls, shall we, on the Alpha Bridge gear. I've played quite a lot with this, I'm not gonna lie. I've been playing this game a hell of a lot, and I've min-maxed this almost to the brim. So I've got an Alpha Bridge chest with reasonable armour, very good stamina, 1263, it's about 9 off max there. I've got armour rolled almost to max. Health there, the major attribute there really, it's not essential. You don't have to have one thing. I mean, you can have health, you can have EDR, you can have damage to elites if you're a PvE guy, you can have health on kill if you want to add that up, if you got sustained on your gun, or if you got health on kill on your gloves, if they're not god roll gloves, so that will do for the meantime. Or if you're using Nomad, you can pair it up and get a good 20-26% or whatever. So I got a good armor roll here. I got increased kill XP. Now I do have another couple of chests with ammo on it, but I've decided that a higher armor and a higher stamina is better than having the ammo. And besides, I have ammo on my backpack, which we'll just have a look at now. So that keeps my ammo count in a reasonable amount. You want ammo on at least one of these two pieces, otherwise you're gonna have, you're gonna struggle to stay alive for a continued period of time. So we've got a reasonable armor roll here, 21. Anything over 2150, I say you're pretty safe with. Anything below that, like 2123, yeah, you're probably fine. But what you really want to aim for is 2285. I mean, this has got to be very near the max. And this is great. Look at that. Look at the firearms and that. I mean, that's a different build. We'll get to that another day. My mods. All of the performance mods are first aid self heal. Pretty standard stuff. I'm still using the old firearms mod. I will be replacing all my mods very soon when I get around to rolling all of the god roll mods. It's just nice to have the same mods with the same numbers, because it's just easy to work out and shift them around from build to build. Okay, mask. The mask I have, this is, I mean, you look at it right now, this is like 95% to god roll. Got 951 armor, which is about 50 off max. That's perfectly fine. If you look at my other pieces here, nothing really comes close. And I do use all these pieces in, so I've got stamina is 4 off max. Crit chance. Major attributes on the mask don't really matter that much. I mean, You can go for EDR if you want to get EDR in here, and you get EDR in there, so you can survive those stupid, skillless balls of death that everyone seems to be using these days, because, you know, they can't use guns, or maybe they don't want to adhere to the meta, which is this, Alpha Bridge. So you want enemy armor damage. If you don't get enemy armor damage, chuck it away, unless you really just want to run the build first as a prototype build. But if you're going for a proper build, you need to have EAD on there, and crit chance. You don't need crit chance, but just get it, you know. And should we go down here to the knee pads? Knee pads should be of gear set, because really, other than the short bow, the new grenade, short fuse time, there's really nothing else. You don't want to run anything else, not for PvP. PvE you can run the Prosperous fine, but PvP, just run it. I've got a very high armor roll here, 2863. Again, I have a higher one here. This is what you want to aim for, 2.9. Anything that is below 2.8, really scrap it. Don't use it if you want to compete at a high level here. You've got to have something above 2.8. This is why I have everything above 2.8. Again, you need enemy armor damage to roll on that miner. You need it there. The armor is also, I think, 2 off max here or something like that. The stamina is lacking. I see that it's 1147. I could make up another 130, which would knock my stamina into the 7k range. Fortunately, I just haven't come across it yet. I mean, I've come across a whole bunch of Alpha Bridge knee pads that will have the higher stamina, but then they don't have the enemy armor damage. And I'd rather have the enemy armor damage than maybe 130 stamina, which will probably put my toughness up by, I don't know, 10k. I'd rather have the extra damage, to be fair. So I'm a damage guy. And for the gloves, now gloves are a tricky one, because they are very hard to get, the Holy Trinity. You want crit chance, crit damage, weapon damage at choice. And when you're running Alpha Bridge, you want to have, you're going to be using one gun, so it's perfectly fine to have one damage, so one weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. If you're running Predators, you probably want maybe assault rifle damage, SMG damage, and then one of the other crits. It doesn't really matter which. But with Savage can be used in any build. This is why Savage is great, because I can run a 4-piece Savage and then any other yellow of choice. Mine is Nimble. Other people would probably opt for the Barrett chest piece, or if you get lucky enough to get that, or the Specialized that I do have here, but I don't really use that. Hasn't got ammo on it. So you want your 3. This is the God Roll Savage gloves. These are available right now. Today is the 7th of December. I think we got this until the weekend, until Friday. So we've got another 2 days to grab this one, I think, from the E6 checkpoint and the Dark Zone. Just grab it. It's about 200k DC funds. If you can't afford that, well, sorry, you should be watching my videos, because I'm a Dark Zone rogue motherfucker, and so you should be doing that. You should have plenty of funds to get 2 or 3 of these things, at least. I have a reasonable stamina roll on this. I think I've rolled this into the millions, so there's not really... Okay, shut up, Isaac. Okay, so our last piece, in Nimble, I have 1268, 1232, 1132. I think I've actually found better ones, but because I've just got this as a staple in my class, I don't even look at new ones. And there you have it. These are the 6 pieces that I run for my Alpha Bridge build. My secondary is a Damascus, because first of all, everyone has it, everyone can craft it. Yeah, it's 163, it will knock down your gear score a little bit, but who cares, man? I mean, unless you're searching for teams and they go, oh no, you got a gear score and it's too small and we're going to kick you for not being good enough. I mean, you get people like that, but fuck them, man. It comes with Harmful, and it comes with Expert, but it also comes with a third talent, which it doesn't matter what it is, because you're going to roll that to Intense. So when you're chasing people, if you don't apply the fire, you can apply the bleed. And when you don't apply the bleed, reload, apply the fire. Again, you have to hit the fire with the first bullet, so note that. It's not on every shot. Now, if we go to skills, what should you use? Well, you should be using a first aid. Everybody runs a first aid. It's still essential to run a first aid. Which one? Well, in 1.4 onwards and 1.5, it's actually, you got a bit of freedom here. So if you want a low cooldown, 35 seconds, go for the defibrillator. You get a pretty shitty self-heal, but you give a really good ally heal, and if your teammates are running Vigorous, you can actually overheal these guys before the fight starts. You can go into a fight with an overheal. This is without speccing into skill. You see, a lot of other people do skill builds where you can heal people, and I've seen that shit works, but if you want to be the damage guy, you can still be the healer as long as your teammates have vigorous. You can run the overdose. I think this is selfish. I really don't think anybody should be running overdose. I think it's awful. It's much better if you're in a 4-man team to have 2 people with defibrillators, 2 people with booster shots, because the overheal, right, 93-42, 52-94, so you can see the heal is kind of reversed. Now if you have 2 people, just run an overdose, but if you have more than 2 people, not only do you have a much, look, 35-second cooldown, 51-second cooldown, I think this is like 40, yeah, so this is in the middle. Booster shot is the nice median here. This is really what, I mean, you can run 4 booster shots in a team, that works just fine as well. We do that all the time as well. And then we have that one dude running a selfish overdose. I don't recommend this. This, you can pick your teammates up. It has a big radius, and it's on a quicker cooldown. I mean, why wouldn't you run this in a team? Booster shot is great, because another thing we can do is you get into a fight, you get to low health, so you pop your medkit, proc critical save. Then you've proc critical save, let's say you're still getting hit, you can pop your booster shot. Let's say you're still getting hit, you can go do a cover to cover move, or you can pop your medkit, cover to cover, finish up that heal, because if you pop a medkit and you get hit, you can still be on 1 bar of health and you're fighting with 40% extra resistance, but you still only have 1 bar of health. But if you're weak, you pop your medkit, you get to 2 bars, you get hit down to a 1 bar as you go cover to cover, and now you're back up to full health, and you still have about 5 seconds of 40% extra resistance. And then when you get hit, then you pop your booster shot right here. You pop your booster shot, you get an extra 10-15%, I can't remember what it is, I think it's 15, but and then you have 55% resistance. Why would you ever run a defensive ult when you can just pop a medkit and a booster shot? That's what the smart player would do. These 2 bots are the only ones worth running, and then you use your tactical advance, you get an extra 30% damage on top of the booster shot. I mean, you're looking at 45% extra damage for a brief period of time. You're OP as fuck. And when your shit's down, well, retreat back behind your team, let your teammates fight, get your cooldown. If you're still getting hit, dodge, do the strafe move if you know that, and you're going to be golden. So why don't we hop in to some gameplay?